What's going on, guys? I wanted to go some pro gameplay from the Yilmaz vs Umut. This is two top tier pro players, and I wanted to go with some clips that maybe you can learn from and take into your FUT Champions or Rivals game. Now the first one is just a simple thing of what the pros do that looks like something so insignificant but makes the biggest change. Let me see if you can guess what it was in this moment. Now all it was just being patient. You can see when the opponent is, you can see here the ball gets switched over, right? This is the issue with committing a right back going forward. If you miss the header, you're in trouble. When the ball comes forward, Graham then makes the run. Hansen, the through ball then comes in. The first thing here, which is the most important, I'm going to pause at this keyframe over here, was just this point here. The L1 trigger. Even though the player is already running, this player pressed L1. You can see Janola's hand is facing out and is saying to the game, I want you to run forward and make that run. The through ball again gets released, and this is the big difference. You can see here Janola takes the player takes a touch upwards here, able to keep the ball safe, and you see doesn't panic as well. A lot of players here, they want to shoot, or when they get the ball in this situation, they want to go for the shot straight away. You can see here, just keeping the ball, not panicking. And there's no opportunity, just waiting, dribbling with the ball and then cutting the ball back. And still, as you can see, they're not forcing the ball forward. He's not forcing the ball even to the centre mid inside the box. He knows what the opponent's doing. Sometimes do nothing. Be patient, wait for the opportunity to rise. Then you can see the chance with Hansen, should I say, or not Hansen actually, rather. Alexia, I believe that is. Or actually it was Hansen, and then goes for the near post finesse, expecting the goalkeeper to move. So sometimes it's all about just being patient and doing nothing. I wanted to show you another example here. You can see here we have played as the L1 trigger, pass the ball to Hansen, and then multiple L1 triggers. The most important thing in this game is L1 triggers. I want to bring it back just a couple of seconds here. You see, L1 triggers is the most important thing. You may say to me, but no, I'm doing it. I know this already. But are you really doing it as much as pro players doing it? They're doing it 3 times. They're triggering 3 players at a time. That's what you should be doing. If you're blaming the game for being static, it's not the players that, if it's not R9 that's going to make the difference. It's that L1 trigger. You can see Janola gets triggered forward. And what happens is when Janola gets triggered forward as well, is that actually creates space for the player with the ball. Because when Janola makes that run, it forces the defensive line to shift downwards, shift backwards. Then you can see not panicking, rotating the ball. Even though there's a passing option down the wing, it's not a clear and obvious chance. You can see, look, rotating the ball. And sometimes you have to reset it. People think, oh, you can always go route 1. You can't, especially against a good player. And this is a good example. You can see my opponent is sitting very deep at that moment of time. And you can see all it is just about a bit of passing and just a bit of trickery to get inside the box in that situation. But you can see here, when the ball's over there, a lot of players like to force the ball down the wing. But you can see, recycle the ball. And this is the most important thing. These 2 centre mids. That's why I'd always recommend centre mids that can pass the ball. Not only can they defend, but they can distribute the ball. One quick tip as well is, if you have the centre mid, let's say over here, a bit more further back, and you want to pass the ball to, for example, your striker, you can use a driven pass also to get the ball very, very quickly. It works even better with the pinged pass playstyle. But you can see here, it's just about finding that small gap. And you can see one little mistake of the opponent using teammate contain, not controlling the defender, and it costs the opponent. And this is what I say with teammate contain. When I teach everyone how to play FC24, have you realised I don't really use teammate contain that much? Is it because teammate contain is not effective? No, it's probably one of the most effective mechanics in the game, if used correctly. But even players in the League Division, they don't use it correctly. This is a good example. Even a top tier pro player here, you can see using teammate contain. In this situation, it was the wrong thing to do, and it costed the goal in that situation, and potentially costed the leg. So that's why teammate contain, you got to be very, very careful. In my opinion, only use teammate contain, I'll be honest, if you're pressing with your midfielders. Otherwise, you're back for a general rule of thumb up until you get to a very high level. So you might see me running out of my centre backs with teammate contain. That's fine, but you have to understand your level. If you know you struggle defensively, do not use teammate contain with any of your centre backs or your full backs or any of your defensive line. Use it with your centre mids or your CDMs, but never with your defenders. Always keep your back four in shape, and keep a rigid defense. The next clip we're going to go over is mechanic abusing, the infamous German crossing. Why is it so effective? But why is it when you do a German cross, it works for your opponent, maybe for the best players inside the game, but why doesn't it work for you? When you do a German cross, the most important thing is that you trigger the L1 button. But you're going to say to me, oh, Neil, I know this. You're telling me an L1 trigger. I know this. But this is the difference. People trigger players once they get the ball, and then they trigger the player. But this is what top tier players do. Before the ball has even arrived, the player gets triggered. You see that? So you can, this is very high level. You can see now what this player did is they pushed the left analog stick forward, facing about 12 o'clock, facing towards this player, and they press the L1 button. That is what's sending that player on a run going forward. That way, when the player gets the ball, takes a touch, he's now ready to release the pass, and it gives even less time for the opponent to defend against it. That's the key. When it's 11 versus 11, it's a complete different situation. But when it's one brain against one brain, the best thing to do is to be proactive, but also be unpredictable. So while your opponent's going to be looking, oh, where's the ball going? You're triggering a player off the ball before the ball even comes to you. That way your timing is perfection. On a very high level, what you can do as well is you can trigger players and run in a complete different direction at a very high level. But you can see something simple. Gets the ball, flick left arrow stick up, L1 trigger, then does a German cross, and then goes for the header. But you can see that if that L1 trigger was just a fraction bit too late, that player would have defended against it perfectly. So the timing is always impeccable. Now, next thing I wanted to go over, we went over the main things. As I said, look at the players. They don't run with the ball. This is a common mistake I see at lower level gameplays, that players like to run with the ball. You see, when you run with the ball, you can't do any actions, you can't do any skill moves, and more importantly, you can't maneuver the ball. You see, if you push the ball forward and you run, you can only touch the ball here, and let's say here again, between these 2 points, because when you run and you push the ball forward, you can't touch the ball. But if you jog, if you press the pass button, it's going to happen instantly. So that is the main thing, using the left analog stick and just moving. People think you need to use precision dribbling or agile dribbling or however you want to call it. No, forget agile dribbling, forget strafe dribbling. Simple left stick is all that you need. You can use the technical dribbling or whatever you want later on inside a final third, inside the box, but definitely not outside. Simple left stick is all you need to find the angle. But the main thing I wanted to focus on here is the rotation. You see, this is what people, they struggle in the game, because what they do is when they see the striker, they force the ball. The key thing is you want to use it like a puzzle. Keep passing the ball around your midfielders, and once that passing lane opens up, then you make a regular X pass, or A if you're on Xbox, to the striker. And as you can see, the most important thing is a first time pass. Because if this pass was, let's say, bam, 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 and then take a touch and then make a pass, then Modric will then cut the passing lane out. But you can see it's a first time pass. That way you play that triangle around Modric. Then you can see the key thing here, just a bit of skill. Now, in essence, in this situation, the player really didn't need a skill move. A normal left analog stick will suffice, but sometimes you just don't know. So this is more out of habit. So when they get the ball in this situation, they just do the step over immediately, because they can either step over at a 45-degree angle to get that speed boost, but using a skill move in the final third is very good, or simple left analog stick. But you can see even then, it's not because the player decided to do a step over here, it's more because of habit. They know the player's going to defend well. Unfortunately, the situation, the opponent didn't defend that well and it gave the space away. But you can see it's just the patience of making that final pass. And then when you get the ball, using a skill move of your choice, like a step over, a fake shot, to give yourself that angle and then take that shot across goal. Remember I mentioned to you in the finishing tutorial, the best way to shoot, and I would probably recommend here, a low power shot. Just tap the shoot button and it will always go in, especially from those wide angles, going across the goal. And here I'll just show you one more final example of this. You can see here in another game, the corner gets passed short. Instead of crossing the ball in, another alternative, passing the ball around, waiting for the striker to be free. As you can see, Mbappe is not free. Sometimes a lone striker man marks. You got to rotate the ball. You can see Mukiele rotates the ball down, and then you can see does that first time pass. These passes, especially with the tiki-taka playstyle as well, like the playstyle plus, I have Cecilia, the Triquesta. It's very, very good because you get the ball instantly to a play, especially a first time pass. And you can see with Mbappe, goes a bit to the right, then does a little bit of a fake, then goes back, and then uses the speed boost to kind of get a bit glitchy and go past there. But you can see here, at first instance, the opponent is expecting the player to defend against this. So the player pretends going to rotate the ball backwards. That catches this player off guard. The player then moves downwards, and then he goes around and scores a goal. So it's about being unpredictable. Don't expect the same thing every single time. So you can see here, If you keep recycling the ball and getting the ball to the striker and then doing a step over every single time, your opponent's going to know what you're doing. But you can see here, pretends to go, or maybe decides to bail out last minute because you can see there's not a clear path towards goal. You see that? Fakes it, lets that player overcommit, make their jockey kind of move out of the way, opens up space. Then when the player sees the gap, then does a step over and then gets a bit lucky, but then takes a touch. So it's all about being unpredictable. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, if you want to get better at FC24, you can come join my FC School Series, patreon.com/noguides, links down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month for joining my FC School Series, we'll refund your money. That's a no guides guarantee. And we'll teach you some stuff like this in principle, on how to be unpredictable and how to take your gameplay to the next level. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.